Perfect. All right. So I am just going to introduce myself. My name is Amy Hernandez. I am coordinator of student organizations here at CU Denver. I am so excited to be here. I do work on campus in Tivoli 345. And also here, you may be able to see him on the camera, maybe not, is Addison Lemons. He is my supervisor. He is assistant director of student life, and he is a wonderful resource if anybody has any questions or needs anything that for whatever reason I can't help with or I'm out of the office. I just want to get started by saying thank you to everybody, one, for being here, but two, just for supporting the student orgs that we have on campus. Our last check was about 116 different organizations on this campus. We are getting more applications and registrations every single day, which is amazing. So we are just so grateful that you as faculty, staff are willing to support these students in their organizations to make these organizations as successful as possible. You don't have to, so your willingness to actually come and help is magnificent, and you have all the support of our office, and we are so thankful for you every day. All right. So one of the things that might be important for us to make very clear is what is an advisor. An advisor is just an individual who provides recommendations, support, and guidance to the organizations. For the most part, advisors are who the students go to first. Before they come to me, before they worry about contacting Student Life, AHEC for services, they're going to talk to their advisor and ask them for their help, support, advice, and of course, what am I doing here? Please help me, is usually what the students say pretty much verbatim. You are experts on this campus. You are faculty, staff. You're paid to be here. You know more than the students do usually because we've been here a little bit longer. We have access to more things. Our emails feel more important, but they're really not. So as the advisors, you are kind of the adult in the room. You're the person in there who is able to help and provide as much insight as possible before things either escalate to Student Life or usually before students think to ask us. There are a few requirements to be an advisor for a student organization on this campus. You do have to be a full-time CU Denver employee, faculty, staff, administrator. If you are a full-time CU Denver employee, faculty, staff, or administrator, you can't serve as president, vice president, or treasurer of any organization. We do think of that as a conflict of interest. So you aren't able to serve in the role of executive in organizations if you're also part of the faculty and staff. Your role is advisor, you work here full-time, and we don't want anything to kind of make it harder for you to do your job, but also be part of this organization. You do need to meet with your student organization leaders on a regular basis. We don't have a specific number of times that you should be meeting with your organization. It's just however often it takes for you and them to be successful. For some people, that might be once a month. For others, it might be every single day in your class. It just depends on the individuals. We do ask that you be prepared to attend larger, high-risk student organization events. So anything that's going to have more than 20 people in attendance, that would be a really great time for students to have their advisor on hand, on deck, to help answer questions and support. All right, so this is kind of the most inconvenient one. We do ask that all advisors approve their events for their organization in MyLinks prior to the organization's event being approved by me, by Student Life. That could also be by Juju, by Addison, depending on who's in the office. We do need you to go into MyLinks, click approve on all the events, make sure that the details are one, correct, and two, legal. You don't want to see anything overtly wrong or illegal happening in these event descriptions. So just make sure that everything looks good and above board so that we can approve them on our end. I will not approve events until they have been approved by the advisor. So you'll be getting some very annoyed emails from your students saying, hey, my event isn't approved. What's going on? Because I'm getting those emails and I'm saying, I have no idea. Your advisor hasn't approved it yet. I can't approve it until they approve it. So We're going to keep some of those very annoyed emails to a minimum. We're going to make sure that those events are one, approved, and two, just that you know what's going on with the organization. I will say that I send you reminders through Mylynx that the events are in the queue waiting to be approved. You'll get a little reminder message from Mylynx. They're a little annoying. They're very nondescript, but they are in Mylynx just to let you know, hey, something needs to be done, and your students are waiting for something to happen. The last requirement is the Clery Act training and certification. So that is not a difficult requirement, but that is a very mandatory legal requirement that is passed down from Auraria PD, but also actual laws in place like the Clery Act. So that is going to be an online training that you do through the Auraria Police Department's website. They do give you that certification, and then if you are ever, or your organization is ever going to leave the state, leave the city for any kind of trip, conference, event, you do need to report it to Auraria PD. They need to know where the students are going, what's going on, and usually they just want to know date and time. It's not, they're not going to pull your teeth out. They just want to know what's up. But that is a very important requirement, so we got to make sure that that one's getting done. If your students are going on a trip or anything, they should also be, one, letting you know, but two, asking you to fill that out because they will also need to submit that paperwork and take that training. That's the big hardcore legal requirement on this list. All right. So as I mentioned, one of the most important things that you'll all be doing is working with Mylynx. Mylynx is going to be where we have everything student org related. That is where all of the events are listed, not just for the organizations, but also some departments, some campus organizations that aren't necessarily just for CU Denver, like the Phoenix Center is also on Mylynx. We have articles published in there with extra information just to make the lives of all of our students and all of our employees a little bit easier. It's also where you're going to manage the organization, the roster, what events are coming up. And of course, if your students have pictures, please put them on Mylynx. Please advertise your organization. Let them know that they can put the time and date of their meetings on Mylynx, and it just makes it that much easier for freshman students to find them and get involved. The more information you have on Mylynx, the easier it is to get new members because they know where to go and when to be there. All right, so on the screen, you'll see a very general demonstration of what Mylynx looks like, but also how to manage your organization just from some of those little sidebars. So this is the student organizations tab in Mylynx, which is going to be where mostly I will put events that are taking place, different events where I can support your students and promote them on campus. One of the things that we do in student life right now is actually give grants to our student organizations that table on campus. So students who are willing to table at events like Student Life Extravaganza on Wednesday actually receive $10 in their finances tab that they can spend on whatever they would like, really. All they need to do is submit a purchase request and they can use that $10, but it's almost like very low effort fundraising. And I'm giving them money to do things that organizations would do anyway. That's going to help them buy snacks for their next meeting. It's not a lot of money, but it does add up depending on how many events that you actually want to participate on campus. Our next event with a grant is going to be Org Trick or Treat, which is going to be a very fun event that's going to take place in the Tivoli with MSU and CCD. It is a tri-institutional event where organizations are going to be handing out candy, and absolutely anybody who comes in is going to be eligible to win a costume contest, and we're doing group contests for the organizations. So if your organization puts together a group costume, you can also win a prize and win some money that way. There is a virtual option and an in-person option just because we know that it's very difficult to get people to do anything on campus in person. So just to make it that much more inclusive and inviting, you have the option. All right, so on the screen, you're going to see an event that took place a few weeks ago when I put together this presentation. And it just has the important things that you would look at while you're in Mylynx approving events. So you can either click collapse all or expand all, depending on how much or how many of the details you want to see. It's going to show you time, place, description, and the flyer for that event. On the right-hand side, you'll see your review, thumbs up or thumbs down. For your organizations, you're gonna want to thumbs up the event if it looks good, thumbs down it if it doesn't. If it's a thumbs down, I'm gonna send it back to your organization for revision so that they can update whatever they need to, and then it could be reviewed again. If everything looks good, you're very happy for this event to take place, even if it's something as little as a first meeting, thumbs up, and then I will go through, make sure everything looks good and also approve it. The only reasons I wouldn't approve an event are because the event itself is problematic, illegal. Don't want the organizations to decide that their event is going to be going and clubbing seals somewhere. That's unnecessary. Making sure that they have the rights and permissions to do whatever it is they would like to do. One of the most painful things that organizations want to do, and it's really difficult to get the rights and permissions to, is playing movies on campus. That is a big legal hula hoop full of jumps that is just absolutely a big pain in the butt, frankly. We do have some resources to make that a little bit easier. We have some movies available for free through Auraria campus, through the library. We have the websites if you would like to purchase the rights to a movie that are really easy to access, but they can be a little bit pricey. So movies on campus is very difficult, but we are here to help you and make it that much easier. So even if you can't play the movie that you really want to play on campus, you might be able to play something similar that is free or in the public domain. I will not reject an event or deny an event just because you want to play a movie. I will allow you to find other options, make whatever you would like to make work within those confines of it being legal. But I will still approve the event and just give you options. I will not say you can't play a movie at all, because that's not the case. If you have any questions or if you're really confused about the movie policy or any other reason why this event was denied, send me an email. I'm definitely willing to talk about it, to work through it. We can schedule a Zoom meeting if you want to. That's really easy. If you would like to stop by Tivoli 345 and have a conversation with me, I'm almost always there at my desk eating. So I'm definitely available if you need anything, or if I can be of any kind of support, just let me know. All right. So there are a few different ways for you to navigate to the Approve Events tab in MyLinks. You can click on your organization on that on that left-hand bar with the little circle icons of each organization. Or there's a little bell up top that you can click on, and that will also take you to any notifications or anything Amy might have sent you that indicates that it might be a good idea to check to see if there are any events waiting for your approval. These events can take place, they usually take place on campus because reservations through CU Denver buildings are free. So they're really easy to schedule, to book, to get done. Any events that are taking place in an AHEC owned space are going to cost money. Student organizations get a discount, but it's still going to cost money. That discount is, I think, usually a third of the price that they would charge outside companies and organizations, but that's still a pretty substantial amount in a lot of spaces. There is a form that AHEC will have pre-filled out with the information that you sent on your request on the top. And then at the bottom, it'll ask for the organization's president's signature. It'll ask for my signature, and then it'll ask for a speed type. Speed types are the accounts that are used on campus to pay for things like these events. So those speed types vary depending on what department you're in, on where that money's coming from usually. Most student organizations do not have their own speed type. For most organizations, they'll submit that request to student orgs, so me or Student Life, and we'll put in a speed type that will pay for that event. We'll update that in the finances tab on MyLinks, but it's not a specific speed type for the organization. That's usually where student orgs get really confused and start emailing me questions about what's going on with my money. Why don't I have a speed type? What's going on? It's because that speed type is not for most orgs. For the most part, speed types are very important account numbers, and finance committees do not like to create a lot of them. So that is why you can send that over. I will take care of the speed type. We will take care of it on our end, and then we'll update your finances tab so you see how much money you have remaining in that account for your organization. If for whatever reason that event is canceled, let the venue know. Cancel that event with AHEC or they will charge you a late or no-show fee. Cancel that event with EMS because they can and might charge you a cancellation fee or a no-show fee. If you are having an event and you have any kind of services, including the venue, cancel them if it's not happening. The last thing you need is to incur a bunch of fees when it's already as difficult as it is for organizations to get money. It is really difficult for organizations to kind of just spend money wherever because those funds are limited. For the most part, organizations are fundraising, they're doing percentage nights, they're doing their best. Sometimes they're collecting dues, which can be kind of either good or bad, depending on the organization and their group. So we don't want to spend any unnecessary money, especially if it's easily avoidable. For fundraising, student organizations can also submit F&F requests, and those are through the Student Government Finance and Funding Committee. They can request certain funds for events, for development, for the organization. That is an application that is available through MyLinks. It is called a budget request, and the Finance and Funding Committee actually have their own page. So you can see the guidelines that are going to be used to review that request, but also the rubrics. So you know exactly what they're looking for and what they're looking at. For the Clery Act, I did email out this PowerPoint to everybody so that you have it, but also so that you have the links to report anything that you need to and can learn more about where that Clery Act comes from, that history of it, just to make it that much easier to access and complete. If you do have any questions about the Clery Act, you can definitely ask me, or you can click on that Learn More hyperlink under the photo. The Clery Act does come from a specific case on a campus that did involve sexual assault. So it does have a very rich history, and the police department actually has a officer dedicated just to the Clery Act reporting and trainings. That officer is absolutely wonderful. So if you have any questions, you can also email them and they can help you with anything that you might need. Every year, the Clery Act does have a report that will go out to faculty, staff, anybody involved with the university. So if you would like to see some of those numbers, you can also do that. All right, I'm talking. Feel like it might be a little fast. Does anybody have any questions? No. Okay, nothing in the chat. All right. All right, so that finances tab in MyLinks has a few different areas for you to view the finances for your organization. So your students, for the most part, will have a member that is dedicated to reviewing finances. Sometimes that's the treasurer, sometimes it's not. It just kind of depends. So students are encouraged to fundraise as much as possible. Usually the easiest ways to fundraise are going to be like bake sales on campus or percentage nights with local restaurants. I've seen organizations like Denver Links Radio make upwards of $1,000 on a percentage night. They use that money for events. They can do different things with it, and it's that much easier to use because they know that they have that money if any expenses occur for their events. If you aren't able to do any kind of fundraising, or the amount that you require is a little bit higher than that, you can contact Finance and Funding. Finance and Funding is an application in MyLinks. That's the budget request. It does need to be submitted 3 weeks in advance if this is for a amount less than $2,000. If it's more than $2,000, it needs to be submitted 6 weeks in advance, and there is a maximum of $5,000 that can be spent on each organization for the year. Most organizations don't come close to that amount. Last year, some organizations went above that amount. This is just to make sure that every organization has a fighting chance of getting money and funding for their events. The Finance and Funding Committee usually meets on Friday mornings in the Student Commons building in the Butcher Conference Room. Those meetings are open to the public if you would ever like to attend. If you are submitting a request for over $2,000 and you have submitted within that 6-week time frame, they will ask you to do a presentation for the Finance and Funding Committee and make sure that that money is very clearly laid out on what it's being spent for and when it's going to be used. Finance and Funding is a group of student government employees, but they are students. So these are students reviewing the requests of other students to make it as fair as possible. So it's basically a jury of their peers. Usually I or Addison or Juju will attend these meetings and advocate for the student organizations, but we don't actually have a say. We can put in some insight, we can help with some tips, we can provide extra information, but we do not get a vote in whether or not organizations get money. We are primarily there to support the student government body and also to support the student orgs. But if your request is denied, I am so sorry. I did not decide that. Please do not call my office a bunch of times and yell at me. We will have anything that does happen with the student organization's account that is spent through a purchase request, all of that will be updated on their MyLinks. As the advisors of these organizations, you can go in and see the finances of the groups. You can see what money's being spent, where it's going, what it was purchased on. Usually we have a sheet with hyperlinks that the students will send us of what they want us to buy. So you'll be able to see everything that's going on in there. As their advisors, if you have any questions, let them know. And if you see anything that's concerning, or if you don't think that they're spending enough money and you really want them to have more events on campus, let them know. Talk to them. They can talk to us. We can come up with some ideas. We want these organizations to be as successful as possible, to host events and get new members so that they last on this campus for a long time. Some organizations will die off after a year because they don't have a transition plan in place, because their president had all of the information, didn't share it with anybody, and then when they graduated, nobody knew what was going on and the organization wasn't able to go on. So please, if there's anything that we can do to help, if there are any resources that we can do to kind of support your organization, let us know. But also, as the advisor, as somebody who will most likely be here next year, even when the students graduate, have some of that information. Have the presidents of the organizations you have now share those resources with the group. Make sure everything is being equitable, is being transparent, and just making sure that your organization has a fighting chance for next year. Something that we do in student organizations is provide rentals for the groups, just to make their lives a little bit easier and so that they're not constantly spending money on all the same things. Student organizations is paying for plates, cups, and cutlery for all student orgs. That is not something you have to add to your budget request. If you are requesting money, it's just one less thing that you have to worry about spending money on, and everything is compostable and better for the environment. That just make sure that we are in compliance with the SGA green policy, but also it just saves the organization's money. If the student orgs would like to rent board games, indoor games, outdoor games, we have a Cricut if they would like to make their own t-shirts and a t-shirt press. We have cameras, we have ring lights, we have all sorts of different things available for the organizations to use and rent out whenever they need to, so that they don't have to spend money on them and so that they can have some resources that are really easy and be easily have access to. One of the things that we bought very recently was a karaoke machine. If your organization would like to host an event with karaoke, they can do that, and we have the machine ready and available for them to use. We do have quite a few other things, of course. So if for whatever reason you would like to see that list, we do have a inventory list on our MyLinks page, and the student involvement ambassadors also have that list and are in charge of renting the stuff out. Student involvement ambassadors are actually a group of students who are liaisons to each group. So each group actually has one person that is assigned to them that can help answer questions, that can be their support, that is also a student. Those students are also in charge of our social media page. They do tabling and different events on campus, and they of course have access to the golf cart, so they sometimes drive around and they can always answer questions. So they're absolutely fantastic. Those are my student employees, and I cannot say enough good things about them. So pretty often, I want to say, we have people who are interested in starting up organizations, but they can't find an advisor. They don't know any faculty or staff that might be interested, and they're students, so a lot of times they're afraid to ask. If you know anyone who is interested in being an advisor, please send them this form. we might be able to match them up with a group of students that want to start an organization, but haven't been able to take those next steps quite yet. So this is a really great way for anybody who is interested to be connected to somebody else who is also interested in making an organization on campus and for it to be successful. This isn't something that we've really done in the past, but I am so excited to just allow more people to come in and be advisors. All of you are amazing. Some of you are advisors to more than one group, and that can be kind of stressful. So please, if we can make your load a little bit lighter, let us know. All right, so these are the big important people to know in the office. Our student involvement ambassadors are, of course, the liaison. They go to the events. They're absolutely amazing. In this picture, we have Aaliyah on the left, Emily on the right, and Ashanti in the middle. There's the email address for me, the email address for Addison if you have any questions for either of us, but also the link to the student org manual. This is the manual that is shared with all of the students in their Canvas course. It has all of the rules, regulations. There's even an advisor's corner in the manual that could be helpful to you and provide any kind of information or links that you might need. If there's something in the manual that doesn't make sense, send me an email, I can help. If there's something in the manual that you don't think should be there, send me an email, maybe I can help. If there's something you want added to the manual for next year, send me an email, maybe I can help. I know this was a very brief meeting. I hope that it was helpful, informative, especially for new advisors. I know for some returning advisors, it might be repeated information, but I mean, with any luck, I would like to make this a yearly thing where we can bring people in and they can share their experiences and ask any questions that they might have as advisors. All right, I talked a lot. Does anybody have any questions? I have 2 people here in person who get breakfast. Does anybody in the chat have questions? All right, I will definitely send out this PowerPoint again, just in case anybody wasn't able to read it, or if there were any organizations that registered after I sent out the initial email. All right, we're looking good. Okay, in that case, it did not take the full 45 minutes. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. This was recorded, so I will also send it out to all of the advisors who, 1, weren't able to make it, or 2, just want to replay it later. All right, thank you all very much for coming and have a wonderful day.